Hello guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another film review. Tonight we're looking at a video nasty tonight. We're looking at Andy Warhol's Flesh for Frankenstein. This is a new release of the film by Screenbound. It did get released a few years back, but now this is like a re-release of the film. And it's just come out like over the last sort of month or so. This is a strange film. It's a very film that sort of explores perversions and sexual perversions and all these kind of wonderful things, as I always say. And it's lightly based on the Frankenstein sort of story, because we've got a baron in this film who likes to create a male and female zombie, as he calls them. Excuse me a second. Yeah, and he creates these two sort of zombies out of different body parts, and he's got an obsession with this and it's a bit of a sexual obsession of it, and he lives with his wife who's quite sexually frustrated as he doesn't seem to pay her any attention whatsoever. And they also have two children, a young lad and a girl, and they don't really say anything. They just seem to be watching all the goings on around them, what's going on, what their father's doing and what their mother's doing. And she takes an interest in one of the local sort of lads that live in so-called village, but it doesn't really look like a village. The village looks like a sort of an old sort of castle ruin. They live a bit in a castle, but I think it's all sort of filmed in one place, like a castle sort of ruins. And she gets obsessed by one of the young lads there, who seems to be a bit of a womanizer. Back to our Baron. Him and his assistant are building this male zombie, and they just lack a head. So he wants to go and find a male who's got a very strong sexual appetite, because he wants these two zombies to reproduce children. He wants them to have children, just, you know, what he's always sort of like dreamt of, the type of child he wants. And so he goes into the village to this, I suppose it's some sort of brothel, if you want to call it something like that, in search of a male. Now, the male that his wife has shown an interest in, he's in there with his friend. And his friend, who's not really interested in women, he's wanting to become some sort of priest or a monk. Anyway, his friend's taken him to this brothel to try and convince him to change his mind. Anyway, while the male that the wife's interested in is sort of making out with the girls in there while the other guy's watching, a sort of little lizard jumps on the girls, and it sort of spooks them, and they sort of scream and run out the brothel. And outside the brothel is the Baron and his assistant waiting to see what sexual sort of man's in there. And they can all be screaming. They're thinking, oh, he must be highly sexual because he's getting all these women excited. So the women run out the brothel, and then the man that pokes his head out of the brothel is his friend, the one that's not interested in women. And so the Baron and his assistant think, this is the guy, this is the one, this is the highly sexual guy. Anyway, and they plan to sort of like kill him off, cut his head off, and attach him to his the rest of his male zombie that he's building. So as you can see what's going to happen there, they're going to actually cut off the head of the wrong person. And the guy that the woman that the Baron's wife likes then suddenly becomes like working at the castle, because she starts talking to him and offers him a job as like a servant. but it's more of a sexual sort of slave, really, because of her sexual frustration. But he quite gladly takes on the role. And our Baron makes up his male zombie. And so the guy's going to recognise the male zombie because it's his friend's head. And when he does it, it's quite blasé about it. He's like, oh, it looks like my friend who got killed, sort of thing, you know. And it's like, really, you know, it's a little bit blasé sort of thing. And the Baron's, there's some strange scenes in the film. You can see why it was a video nasty. I mean, the female zombie's on her table, and the Frankenstein, the Baron, is sort of like having sex with the corpse, sort of thing, with his hand inside her body parts, playing with like her kidneys and the lungs while he's doing it. He's getting some sort of real sexual sort of like gratification of her organs. It's really, really strange. It's a very, very bizarre sort of film. And amongst all this was cutting is quite a bit of gore is cut into the film, where you see body parts being sewn together or cut open, and when the guy gets his head cut off, it's a very gory scene. So you got all these wonderful things going on. And on top of that, it's shot in a very artistic way. The way it's sort of shot, it's very similar to sort of Sarlo, 120 Days in Sodom. It's that same sort of artistic sort of feel to the film, you know, where the way it's sort of filmed and shot and the way it's sort of acted and portrayed is very similar to that film. It's nowhere near as depraved as Sarlo, but it's filmed in the same sort of way with the same sort of artistic integrity going on about it. But there again, it is Andy Warhol film. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great, great film. A lot of video nasty fans, this is their favourite video nasty. It's not one of mine. It's a good film. It's a really good film. Really enjoyed it, but it's not up there with the great video nasties. To me, it's an average sort of video nasty, but it's a really cool film still to watch. So I'm going to score the film Flesh for Frankenstein an 8 out of 10, which is a really high score again for a video nasty. There's our female zombie there, and it's really quite a great watch. It's very graphic. It's very, very messed up story. It's a very sort of like overacted, and a bit like me there. It's very overacted, but it's got some wonderful sort of scenes of gore and sort of body dismemberment and sort of operations and stuff like that, which I quite like. So if you're not into that sort of thing, this film is definitely not for you. There's got quite a bit of sort of body parts and things in there, so it's not the sort of thing, if you're not into that, I wouldn't watch it. But if you don't mind that, then it's a good fun film. The pluses of this edition is it looks old, and it's kept its sort of ground. I'm sure it's a 1970s film. Again, I don't think they've actually put the date on the film. I wish they would put the dates on these films. It would really, really help old gits like me out. But it still looks old, and it's of its time. It's quite grainy, which I quite like, and there's some natural sort of dirt on the picture on the film, which is quite cool. I like too. It's really badly acted, but you know, it is what it is. It's like all the characters are sort of like just reading off a script, and it comes across like that. So that's really poor, but again, that's quite good. It's got some great gore effects, and it's all natural effects, so it's really, really cool. And the sort of like the little characters, like the Baron's assistant, who he looks like a bit like a hobbit. He looks a bit like Frodo Baggins. He's quite cool. He's quite a cool character. He's probably one of my favourite characters in the film. But it is quite cool, and everything the Baron does, he goes, "Oh yeah, you're so wonderful, Baron," you know, and all this. You're a genius, and all this sort of thing. So anyway, it's a strange, bizarre one, but it's a really cool film. Flesh for Frankenstein. 8 out of 10. Any of you guys seen it? If you have, let me know down below what you think of it. I mean, I love my video nasties. It's one of my favourite sort of, I can't say subgenres because it's not a genre, but it's one of my favourite things to sort of try and collect and put into my collection when I come across a re-release of a video nasty. And this is quite a cool one. It's a great fun one. Not one of the best, but it's still a great fun film. Anyway guys, till my next video, please check out some horror channels for me. Check out Horror Hands, Horror Geek, Man v Film, RS Design, Pizzlewell, I Am the Ice Lord, Cat Watches Horror Movies, Grumpy Andrew's Haunted House. And a massive shout out to my lad. Till next time, look after yourselves, look after one another, and I really hope I see you all soon.